Okay, guys, let's give this a run. This is the Take 10 Listing Coaching Program. And my name is Russ Fitzpatrick. I'm one of the founders of AnnieMac Home Mortgage's Works Productivity Platform. Some of you are new to the AnnieMac Nation. Some of our new realtor friends who are online today will become future worksaholics through the AnnieMac Works Productivity Platform. But today's a little different because we walk a fine line as a sponsored teacher, trainer, and coach through 61 different training modules that we offer to realtors all over the country. But I asked for permission to have a very personal conversation with some real estate agents to see which of you would elect to work together with me in what I think is the most important work of your life. I know that's a pretty bold statement, but I really do believe that in 2019, if you are a residential real estate agent, that you have a choice in front of you in 2019. Are you going to continue to buy leads from Zillow and Realtor.com and pay pay-per-click leads, or are you going to go out and get some inventory? Because let's face it, guys, running a residential real estate business without listing inventory is like running a shoe store without any shoes in it. No one would come to that shoe store, right? So no one will come and visit you if you don't have any listing inventory. Therefore, you have to go to Boomtown Leads, Conversion, Commissions Inc., Curator, and TorchX, and Broker Agent 360, and you have to go to Zillow Premier, and you have to go to Zillow Longform, and you have to buy leads from OpCity, and you have to go to work for a team because you don't have any listings, so you have to work for a team. Or you have to buy leads from Realtor.com, who now owns OpCity and is selling your own leads back to you. But if you're a listing agent, you don't have to do any of those things because listings produce buyers. It's very, very difficult to oversee residential real estate agents who have less than 10 listings because they struggle. They live a feast or famine existence. And I know, believe me, I know as well as anyone on this call that 2018 was a tough year for listings. It was a tough year to get listings. Let me tell you a secret about the real estate business. Listings are either hard to get and easy to sell, or they're easy to get and hard to sell. It's either one or the other. It's either a buyer's market or a seller's market. There's a few neutral markets as it's transitioning. But right now, we are transitioning from one of the strongest sellers markets that we've ever had to a more moderate. Inventories climbing in a lot of markets. And in some of your markets, I know, in the hot markets, the inventory is still short. But I promise you, as your brother, as your father, as your best friend, as a neutral third party, as a rich uncle, you can't make money in residential real estate in 2019 with the type of efficiency and the type of lifestyle that you want to enjoy without taking listings. So today's course is an orientation on a coaching program. And I promise you, man, I'm taking off all my masks today, man, because the way I feel about this, I asked permission if I could be a coach. And that means that we're not here to play patty cakes. We're not here to talk about what's politically correct. We're here to talk about you personally taking listings. So we've got to talk about learning how to list, learning how to meet new people, learning how to present and follow up with consumers in order for you to take at least 10 listings in 2019. Take 10 listings or any other coaching program, it's never about the coach, guys. It's only about you. It's about you confronting your fears. It's about you having the faith of a mustard seed to listen to somebody who's been there and done that, to jump in with both feet and try some new things. It's about you failing and being okay to fail. It's about stretching outside of your comfort zone and doing some things that you would not normally do if you weren't pushed, prodded, and cajoled to do it. In the words of Vince Lombardi, a coach is a person that gets more out of you than you can get out of yourself. Well, you can't always be polite. You can't always be shy. You can't always be timid. Sometimes you have to push a little. Sometimes you have to give somebody a swift kick in the pants. You know, somebody once called me in the residential real estate business a bull in a china shop. Yeah, well, I said, yeah, the real estate business isn't a china shop, so shut up. You got to be tough. You got to be a go-getter. You got to be able to knock down some walls and take no for an answer, bash through the no's and get to the yeses. Another quote that will resemble the temperament of this coaching environment is a Nick Saban quote. Oh, here we go. Nick Saban lost the national championship this week, or Nick Saban's not a great coach, or Nick Saban did this. Well, Nick Saban hit the bullseye with this one. Mediocre people don't like to be around high achievers, and high achievers don't like to be around mediocre people. In my humble experience as a residential real estate professional for 32 years and now coaching realtors all over the country, I agree with Nick. The top 5% of realtors don't like the rest of the realtors, and the 95% of the realtors that make less than 100 grand a year, they don't like the people who are the top producers. They think there must be something wrong with them. And in my world, I don't like to be around mediocre people. And I don't think that mediocre people like to be around me because I don't have the patience for them. So you're going to decide today in this orientation if this is something you want to be around for 6 weeks. And if you do, I'll make you a promise. I'll make you a guarantee. And we'll get to that in just a minute. I want to confide in you that I'm not a mindset coach. I'm not a life coach or a lifestyle coach. I'm not a motivational coach. I'm simply a residential real estate listing coach. All I will ever do in my relationship to you is define quantifiable best practices for taking more listings in 2019. That is important to me. So I'm the ugly one on the left. The pretty one on the right is my wife. She's the co-founder of AnnieMac Works. We work together. And I'm now going to jump through my least favorite part of this conversation. And I'm going to tell you about it for a moment. Before I do, I have never opened a company named after myself. I've never taken a lot of credit for what I do. I'm a pretty humble servant leader, in my opinion. I'm sorry if I'm not. I don't like to be around people who are lethargic, apathetic. I get very impatient with people that are doing things poorly. And I don't like to talk about myself very much. As a matter of fact, I'm not a very social person. I don't like to get out and do small talk, and I don't like to brag about myself. I like to hide behind the scenes. Every once in a while, I have to get on stage somewhere, and I reluctantly do it. I hide behind this little PowerPoint here because I don't love the spotlight. But I swear to you, I'm talking to you like you're my nephew right now. You're my niece, my best friend, because AnnieMac pays me a good amount of money to help you. And if I can help you, then we're going to be friends for a long time. And if I can't help you, you probably won't come back to the next one, right? Or you won't come back to the third one, or you'll drop off halfway through. But the point I want to make today is that I have to talk about myself for a few moments because I've noticed that all coaches, whether it's Mike Ferry, Floyd Wickman, Brian Buffini, Craig Proctor, all these guys, Rick Ruby, my least favorite coach on the planet, Carl White, one of my favorite people on the planet, they all know that they have to get professional leverage. And the way that they get professional leverage is to document their bio, all right, and to tell you what they've achieved. So I hate to do this, but I'm going to rattle off some of the things that I've done recently so that you can tell that I'm not blowing smoke. On Monday this week, I procured a $450,000 listing from an ad I ran on Facebook that didn't cost me any money. That's a $0 investment, turning a $450,000 listing, pre-qualified buyer out of the same listing who's also buying acreage. That was done this Monday. I procured 47 buyer leads this weekend with no ad spend at all, 0. 8 pre-qualified with AnnieMac. That means 8 of the 47 pre-qualified with AnnieMac Home Mortgage, and 2 are sellers One's already listed and one's getting ready to list. The 450 already listed on Monday. The one other one is getting ready to list. I think that's timely. I think that's relevant. I manage today real-time Zillow leads, real-time Realtor.com leads, Google pay-per-click leads, Facebook free leads, Facebook pay-per-click leads, boosting, targeting, and retargeting on Facebook and other social media. And every month or so, I call myself for sale by owners and expireds and absentee owners as an exercise to keep me in the hunt. Just did it. Let me tell you about an experiment I ran. 10-year veteran agents that had not broken $50,000 a year since the crash. Two of them, one's with an independent and one's with a major franchise with a big red KW on it. Neither of them had broken $50,000 a year in the last 10 years before. I started working with them in the summer of 2018. Both of them made over $100,000 in 18. And both of them have listings today. For the last 10 years, they haven't had very many listings. That's real-time, real-world, independent agent and a KW agent that I just worked with. I could go through their income, but I don't think it's polite. They've risen through six figures after 10 years of staying at $50,000. I've personally represented and sold homes for builders in Vegas, Virginia, Costa Rica, Carolina, Florida, and Belize. I own 3 vacation homes myself, one in Florida and Fort Lauderdale, one in New Orleans, and one up in the mountains of Carolina where I love to be. I have had the fortune of traveling the world, and I'm very proud of some of my accomplishments. I'm going to keep doing this because I feel like you need to know who I am before you give me permission to coach you. I help run a 150 agent office in Florida. My brand is on it still to this day, and I help them run it in a fee-for-service consulting role. I'm in a consulting role with dozens of brokerages in 6 different states, including New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. This is not a humdrum here. I hope it's not boring you to death, but I personally sold and closed over 3,500 homes, made over $1 million a year in the majority of years that I was licensed and practicing. I just renewed my license, my brokerage license. And today I teach 31,000 real estate agents nationwide. We manage about 60 different training modules with 14 different instructors. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is I'm sitting in a 40-foot RV that has 3 king-size beds. It has a full kitchen and a 60-inch TV in the living room, and I'm traveling from Fort Lauderdale to Anchorage, Alaska on a lifelong goal that I had to hit every national park in America, because I happen to believe that America, having been everywhere else, is the most beautiful landscape on the planet. And I love Glacier Bay. I love the Denali National Park in Alaska. I love the Canadian Rockies going up through there. And I'm spending my years traveling with my beautiful wife and flying my kids and family in to different national parks so that I can spend time with them. Maybe that's not your gig. Maybe that's not your cup of tea. But I can tell you that I just rattled off my truth in an effort to hopefully you'll trust me. That's all it is, guys. I don't need you to like me, but I hope you'll trust me. I got to this slide with a kid a while back, and he said, "What's guaranteed mean?" He said, "What does guaranteed mean? Take 10 listings guaranteed." I said, "I'll tell you what it means. It means I guarantee you didn't do the work if you don't take 10 listings. I guarantee you don't do what I tell you to do if you don't take 10 listings. That's the only thing I'm guaranteeing, guys. I'm guaranteeing that you didn't do what I told you to do. But if you want to take 10 listings, you're going to see your return on invested time goes up. Buyers in 2019, 20, 21 are going to take so much time, so much effort, and listings are going to take less time and less effort. When you have a signed piece of paper that protects you in a listing agreement, you're guaranteed a return on investment. Listing agents have higher credibility by far in the hearts and minds of the public at large. When you see the sign out front and that has your name and your face on it, the consumer believes that you're more of an expert than a chauffeur or a gopher that's driving them around. The signage pays huge dividends on the listing side of the fence, and with the new real estate syndication and incredible digital marketing tools like that are available to you free in MyWorks Suite, you can syndicate those listings and get those leads so you don't have to pay realtor.com or Zillow for your leads. The gentleman who I mentioned, I won't mention his name, he called me on a free ad in Facebook, didn't cost me a penny. We talked to him for a few minutes. He listed his home for $450,000. Then he's pre-qualified with AnnieMac Home Mortgage to buy his next property. He wants to buy acreage. And that's a multi-transaction deal. My mortgage partner's doing a deal. My real estate agent's doing a deal. And the buyer's agent's going to end up doing a deal because he's doing multiple transactions with us. And the last thing I'll tell you, if you don't already observe the obvious, is you can't run a shoe store without shoes, and you can't run a real estate business without listings, because no buyers come into your store if you don't have any inventory. So the average listing throws off between 3 and 5 buyers a week. A week. So when you take a listing, it doesn't just make you the $9,000, it makes you like $75,000 if you do it right. But I have agents who are on the line right now rolling their eyes and said, I took a listing and never made $75,000. Well, you didn't do it right. I'm sorry. You did not practice residential real estate properly. If you're not bringing in 3 to 5 buyers a week off your listings, and you're not following up on them and courting them and building relationship with them. I want to show you a pretty rudimentary mathematical equation that hopefully will entice you to get involved with the Take 10 Listing Coaching Program. This is a formal orientation to decide whether you appreciate the message, right? If you trust me, if you want to do this or not. But if you take 10 listings and they only average $250,000, you're going to make about $75,000 on the listing commissions. You make 2 sellers out of the 10 will upgrade with you. That'll make you another $18,000. 2 of your sellers referred out to another agent for a 25% referral fee will bring you in a measly $4,000 that you can go ahead and place all your ads for the entire calendar year on that budget. And I'm telling you, you're going to get 3 to 5 buyer candidates a week for as long as you hold the listing. So if you had 10 listings and you were getting 3 a week, you'd be taking 30 listing buyer inquiries a week. But we're just saying out of 30 a week, you would only convert 2 buyers. And since they're calling you on $250,000 houses, maybe you only sold 2 $250,000 houses from all those buyers, all that internet syndication, all the signage. But you still made $112,000. Now, I'm going to tell you, a great full-time real estate agent should be able to pop about 12 or 15 buyers off of those listings. But we're just kind of hunkering it down for you and making sure that you know that we're not trying to puffer here. We're just trying to set you up a business model that you can follow. I took the liberty of showing you what it would feel like if you were in a 3 1/4 price point rather than a 250 price range. You'd obviously make a little bit more money. The sellers would upgrade to a little bit more expensive houses, and you'd be netting or grossing about $147,000. That's assuming a 3% average commission, and you can deduce based on your market what your price points are. If you happen to be in a little bit of a higher price point, upper middle class, middle America, $450,000 price point, then you're going to probably see closer to $200,000 if only 2 buyers all year convert from one of your listings. But like I said earlier, I really believe in my heart that if you do the residential real estate enterprise properly, you could probably make close to $500,000 or $600,000 off of 10 $450,000 listings if you did it right. But I'm being very, very conservative here to say only 2 buyers convert. During this 6-week relationship, we're going to show you real letters that were sent real time to real sellers and the results. This is copies of different letters that we're going to be showing you during the coaching sessions that pay dividends for us. These letters are proven recently, this past week, this past summer, this past calendar year. All of these letters have produced sellers. Some letters perform better than others. as in one listing per 100 sent. Some listing letters need 500 or more to go out before you actually take a physical listing from them. But when you do the mathematics that I showed you earlier, taking listings from direct mail and or you know, different ways that we show you to take listings from free Facebook ads. All of these letters, I'm not showing them to you now. I'm just giving you some examples of what you're going to get during the coaching program. We're also going to talk about the way to talk to your sellers. I would have to say, inarguably, that this is the only industry where the $50,000 a year earners don't listen to the $500,000 a year earners. If you were a fireman, you would have to listen to the chief. If you were a cop, you'd have to listen to the captain. If you were a army man, you'd have to listen to the sergeant. But if you're a realtor, you don't have to listen to anybody. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's the reason that 95% of realtors don't make any money. And the reality here, guys, is if you went to plumbing to be a plumbing apprentice, you have to be a plumbing apprentice for years and years and years before you can become a master plumber. You have to be an apprentice in the electrical trade before you can be a master electrician. You're not allowed to just go out and start fixing air conditioning systems. You have to be an apprentice and work for a company before you get your HVAC license. But for some reason, some foolhardy executives decided that residential real estate agents should do it on their own and not have to follow any kind of written protocol. So you guys have your own conversations and your own asking questions, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Remember at the beginning, I told you that we were going to provide you the quantifiable best practices to take listings in today's market. And in closing, in my invitation to you to participate with us, and you could start right away. You could start right away, I promise you. You can move right into coaching. There's no cost. There's no obligation. You could turn it off anytime you'd like. But I believe that coaching is about you. I believe the coaching is about you facing some fears, overcoming some anxiety, and doing some things that are outside of your comfort zone. Just as a formal recap, I'm going to tell you that we're going to do 6 separate sessions. The first session is the longest, between 45 minutes and an hour. The second session through the 6th session are all about 30 minutes, with the exception of the last session is about 40 minutes. So you've got 6 sessions to look forward to if you choose to participate. And down the right-hand side of your screen, I just want to talk to you about these topics before we log off this orientation today and give you an opportunity to participate or not. Solicitation and unique selling propositions, finding different ways to create urgency for your sellers so they don't just keep putting off the listing. I think objection handling techniques are an underutilized skill in residential real estate. Understanding how to meet sellers through Facebook and LinkedIn, and going ahead and doing some belly button to belly button, eyeball to eyeball sales. I'm going to tell you a quick story about that before I log off. It'll give you some more insight into my personality. I've got 5 kids, put them all through college. And, the funny thing about it, 5 private schools, 5, $60,000 to $80,000 a year each in college or more. And, it's funny watching young men approach the opposite sex in 2019, 2021. It's like this. They're so afraid to approach anyone anymore. They only do it through, digital ways to ask a girl out. And I don't want to, belabor this point, but imagine the difference that a young man had to experience when he was a 15, 16, 17-year-old boy. And the only way he could approach a girl was by walking all the way across the dance floor and asking that girl if she wanted to dance, or walking up to her in the cafeteria at lunch and approaching her while she's with her friends and saying to her, hey, would you like to talk? Are you talking? Is there a conversation to be had? And getting shot down, that boy would have to go back across the dance floor, back across the cafeteria, back across the school hall to his friends who would then make fun of him because he got shot down by Sally. And Sally's little girlfriends are over there making fun of the kid for even giving it a shot. And are you understanding the analogy here? It's so similar to residential real estate in my heart, because some of you are so addicted to pay-per-click ads and Google and Boomtown. And I got a broker up in Massachusetts that's got 14,000 leads that his realtors won't call. I've got a broker in Florida that's got 8,000 leads his agents won't call. I've got agents all over the country that are just petrified of picking up the phone. They're creating text bots so that they don't have to speak to consumers. They're creating email drip campaigns that last 5 years because, God forbid, you'd have to pick up the phone and call another human and speak to them for fear of rejection, right? But we got to get back to some belly button to belly button sales. We got to get back to some eyeball to eyeball contact. And we've got to have you reach across the dance floor, walk across the dance floor for fear of humiliation, fear of embarrassment, fear of mortification, and do it anyway. Because the only way you're going to get what the top producers get is if you're going to do what the top producers do. So I implore you, I beg of you, if you want to change your lifestyle in 2019, 20, and 21, you've got to get over this. You've got to start taking listings, putting signs in the ground. Oh, that was a rant. Towards the end of our coaching relationship, we're going to reveal the bulletproof listing presentation, some really specific digital marketing strategies that will get you into conversations with sellers, but you're still going to have to speak to them. Customer relationship management techniques and closing techniques that will help you take more listings in 2019, 20, and 21. Should you decide to participate with this old codger, and I hope that you will, because I've changed a lot of people's financial futures through listing residential real estate. And I, again, am not a lifestyle coach. I'm not a mindset coach. I'm not a motivational person. I'm more of a listing acquisition specialist. So if you're interested in that, there's a place to the right on your screen, and it's in the chat box there. It's on the right side of your screen, and it'll be active for you to click. It's basically going to say something like, take the coaching quiz now, take the coaching questionnaire now. And what I want you to do, if you want to participate with us into week 1 of the 6-week coaching session known as Take 10 Listings, then you're going to go ahead on that little button and you're going to answer some questions. There's some questions that are mandatory at the top, and there's some additional questions that are a little more personal, a little more optional. We could see if you want to tip your toe into the water with Let Me in Your Life. But I promise you this, guys, and I owe this to AnnieMac Home Mortgage, and I hope by the end of this 6-week coaching program, you're going to owe some attention, appreciation, and loyalty to AnnieMac Home Mortgage, because I'm going to put my heart on the table with this one. I'm just going to lay it out there and teach you everything I've learned in 32 years in residential real estate. Teach you everything I've learned from Mike Ferry, Floyd Wickman, Brian Buffini, Craig Proctor, Walter Sanford, Tom Hopkins. Teach you everything I've learned from some of the elite residential real estate professionals in 2016, 17, 18, 19. And I'm just going to lay it out there for you, and it's free. And if you thank AnnieMac, maybe you'll think of them the next time you do a pre-qual. Maybe you'll think of your loan officer at AnnieMac Home Mortgage the next time you do a loan application. And that's all this is about. You don't have to use anybody. You're not required to use anybody. But I personally want you to pay special consideration to AnnieMac Home Mortgage in appreciation. If this coaching program helps you list some additional homes, if it helps you get over some of your sales fears or anxieties, and if it helps you go out and make a little bit more money, maybe that'll be something that we work together more closely in the future with AnnieMac Home Mortgage and the loan officer that invited you. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Take the quiz or the coaching questionnaire to the right on your screen. If you want to participate, we'll release a password to you upon receipt of your questionnaire, and you will be off to the races to join us for week 1 through 6. Thanks again for being here, and a special thank you to AnnieMac Call.